Hello, and welcome to episode 2 of the Super Limit Break podcast. My name is Logan, and I'm joined by my co-host, Sean. How's it going, Sean?
It's going pretty good, man. It's another great day in Michigan.
Is that, like, a thing? Are there great days in Michigan? That seems like an oxymoron.
No, they're usually all shitty. I'm trying to be positive, dude. It's like fucking -10. Leave me alone.
Right. Dude, we're 10 seconds into the episode, and you're lying to our listeners. Like, that's not a good start.
I'm not lying. I'm putting a positive spin on things.
Right, lying.
Well, whatever. What are we doing this week?
So this week is going to be our first theme show. As we explained in our first episode, we're going to alternate between discussing the content we've consumed in a more typical podcast fashion and having a theme. So this week is the theme's turn, and our theme for this week is Zelda. Now, while we're recording this is the night before the release of not only the remaster, remake, port, however you want to call it, nomenclature and such, of Majora's Mask for 3DS, but also the very special and very limited Majora's Mask new 3DS XL. This stuff comes out tomorrow for when we're recording this. It will likely be a week or so after that. By the time you guys hear it, we actually get on our release schedule, but we figured it was close enough and it was topical for what's going on right now.
Right.
So as you might imagine, since we play video games, we really like Zelda, as most people do.
So as most good people do.
Exactly.
I've got a couple of you pieces of shit out there.
Exactly, and that doesn't mean that we're experts. It doesn't mean we've played every single one, but we've played a lot of them. And not only is it a series we both really enjoy, but it's also one that we have a lot of nostalgia tied to, just due to how old it is. It's kind of unavoidable. So we're just going to go through, list the games off in chronological order, and this isn't like an informational, like, these are the Zelda games that exist. We're just going to be bringing them up.
Yeah, we're not the authority.
Yeah, we're going to tell you who made
it.
them, what year they came out, and move the fuck on to the next one. No, we're just going to kind of share some of our memories. For the older ones, it's going to be more looking at memories and nostalgia. For the newer ones, we can maybe take a more critical look at things like we normally like to do, but this is just going to be a celebration of Zelda, and we're pretty fucking excited to do it. Well, I am, at least. I don't know about you, Sean.
Yeah, no, I'm here, so we'll do something. We'll have an episode, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, he's here and he's not comatose, so he's got to be into it to some degree.
I love Zelda, man. I mean, actually, it's probably one of the first 5 games I ever played, because I owned it as a kid, and that was very rare.
Yeah, I can't say that, because I started off on an Atari 2600, so that claimed my first 5 games, but it was one of my early Nintendo games, at least.
Yeah, well, at least I don't know if you can love Zelda, the original one, unless you played it as a kid. Because I know a lot of people that went back and played it because they loved Ocarina and, Majora's Mask and shit like that. And, and they like it because it's a Zelda game and they like Zelda. But I really actually love the first one, and I don't think I would as much if it wasn't my first one,
So speaking of which, let's just go ahead and start right here with the first Zelda game we're going to be talking about, the original Legend of Zelda for the NES. This was released all the way back in...
85.
It looks like it was 86 in Japan, 87 for the West.
Alright, well, whatever.
That's old. That game has been alive, I guess is not the right way to put it. That game has existed for longer than I have.
Yep, me too.
And I did play this back in the day, and this is the start of the classic isometric 2D Zelda experience that we've had tons of more games in, and some people prefer to the more modern 3D ones. Like, this is where it all started. Pretty much anything that you'll find in the more modern ones, like Link to the Past or Oracle or any of those, was here, just in a more subdued form. So that's really saying something. Like, that game was so far ahead of its time.
Oh, shit. They found us.
Yeah, Hangouts agrees with me.
And also, but the thing about that was, it was so cryptic, and I love that about it. I loved how it just kind of dropped you. Didn't explain anything. And it wasn't like with most games, there's not a ton of depth. Like, even if they don't give you instructions, you kind of can figure everything out pretty quickly. Like, with this game, you had to play for a while to even have a chance at knowing what the fuck was going on.
It is the antithesis of modern Zelda design.
Yeah, exactly. It's the antithesis of modern game design in general. And that's probably why I loved it I love it so much more now, because at the time I didn't know that it was one day just going to be so special to me or nostalgic for what it was. It was just something, really hard, but really interesting.
Really fucking hard. It took me a long time to beat that game.
Oh yeah, me too. And I remember I had the guide.
I did not.
Before I ever beat
really
it.
help.
Like that, I couldn't beat it until I got the guide. When I got the guide, I was able to. I wouldn't say beat it with no problem, but at least get to where I wanted to go.
Yeah, that game took me literally years of off and on trying, getting frustrated, and finally beating it. I remember I had a friend. Well, it was a friend of my mom, and he had an older kid that he brought over. And this was before the internet and things like that. So this is back when this type of situation could actually arise. He knew secrets, and I didn't. And he showed me some of the walls that you can bomb and certain things like that. Like, you would never fucking know if someone didn't show or tell you about it. So he showed me that, and I remember him showing me, remember the level, like, it's like the third level in Mario Brothers 3, where you can run and get the flight thing up and, like, fly up into the clouds, and there's a area up there? He showed me both of those things, as well as some of the more obscure and esoteric secrets in Mario Brothers 3, and it blew my fucking mind. Like, it rocked my world.
Right, so who the fuck was this kid? Like, I mean, did nobody else have Nintendo Power or something? He's just like, I'm gonna blow everybody's fucking mind.
Well, he certainly blew mine. I don't know if anyone else fell for his bullshit, but I sure as hell did.
Yeah. And Zelda was a game, like, you know, or just NES in general, because we were kids then, it was like, you wanted to show it off, what you knew, to even people who didn't give a shit, because I remember, when I had beat Zelda, you know, it was one of the first games to have a battery backup, so I had my save file, and I remember fucking like, hey mom, you know, hey dad, and like reload my save and beating it, like, I just beat Zelda, look at that, and they're just like, yeah, good job, son, whatever, like, you know, shut the fuck up, brush your teeth.
I get that. And it really was one of those things, since Nintendo was so ubiquitous and just so synonymous with gaming in general. Like, the big Nintendo games, anybody that played video games would be like, man, I play Nintendo. That was like saying you play video games. Like, I'm gonna go play the Nintendo. And if you found these big secrets or had beaten things, it was almost like you were cool. You know, like if you had all the Pokemon in Red and Blue, because that's old as fuck too, you were cool. You know, if you managed to get all the secrets in Mega Man 6, you were cool. Like, this stuff was hard to do, and people knew that.
You're still cool if you could do any of those things in my book.
I've done both of those things. I'm awesome.
There you go. I remember just talking about how hard Zelda was real quick again. I remember like hearing a story about how they didn't want Miyamoto to make it that hard. Like, they had tried to get him to, you know, make it easier, tell people what to do and explain it more, and he just was fucking firm on it. And thank God, because it wouldn't. I don't think it'd be the game it was if it gave you directions and told you where to go. Because, you know, as a kid, until I got that guide, the most what I did was just explore and walk around, and I was so happy with that, you know. And then when I actually figured out little things and kept going more and more and realized how big and how cool that game actually was, like, oh my God.
See, I would actually look at that.
It's probably like your experience with like Dark Souls. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was my experience with Zelda.
I would look at that on the flip side, actually, because when you take that same gameplay and look at it in A Link to the Past or the Oracle games, where
it's not the same games at all, though. Those games give you too much. Not too much, but they give you way more instruction, direction, narrative. They
do, but it's still the same core gameplay, and they're not handholdy at all. It's very easy to get lost in those, and they're still difficult. Like, I prefer that. I think that's a refinement of it. I like the original Zelda, don't get me wrong. I think it's just a little bit too vacant. Like, it's too flighty. I get that was part of the time. Games were hard. Games didn't explain things, but I think that formula worked better.
Well, no, but that's the thing is, Nintendo games did, though. Nintendo games weren't, like, you know, the hardest. You know what I'm saying? Like, Super Mario Brothers, well, maybe the lost levels, but Super Mario Brothers wasn't hard. Like, your mom could, back in 92 or 90, whatever, was playing that shit. At least my mom was.
The original Mario gets hard as fuck at the end, and Mario Brothers 3 has a lot of esoteric stuff in it, and that also gets pretty hard.
Maybe people were just better then, because I remember my mom beating Mario 3.
People were just better, because that's, like, the bar for what was acceptable to play video games.
Yeah.
It's just so much higher.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy.
So that's the first one. Speaking of hard games, just one short year later, we got Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link. The, I would say, biggest oddball in the franchise. Nothing has come out since that's anything like it, and I think that they must have thought it was a misstep because they got the fuck away from it for the next one.
They definitely did that.
It was almost more of an RPG in some ways than other Zelda games are, as odd as that is. Like, it had certain... if I remember correctly, forgive me, people, I haven't played this in more than 10 years, but I remember it having RPG elements to, like... Yeah, it has an experience point system, actual magical spells, and more interaction with NPCs than any other Zelda game. Unlike any of the other Zelda games where you die, you have lives. Like, that was part of the thing. You know, when you get into a hard dungeon, and you only have,
so it was,
you only have like 2 lives
left.
Yeah, and it was an actual 2D action platformer. The other games, even though they're 2D, they were isometric 2D, where it was like looking down, you could walk around. This was literally walk left, right, jump up, down. Like, it wasn't walk up, down, it was jump up, down. It was a 2D plane.
Yeah, but Link had an awesome, like, downward thrust attack when you jump and
You
tag
did.
down.
And that shit is amazing in Smash Brothers, and that's where it comes from.
Oh, nice. That's in Smash?
That's been in Smash since the original one. It's your down A in air.
Yeah, I haven't really played Smash since the original.
Link is one of the people that I mainly... I'm a Link and Samus player, so anything with Link I know. Like, that's my shit.
Yeah, Link and Samus are badass. You don't ever fuck with Star Fox, though? Come on.
I like Fox, but my buddy that I play against, who to this day we are still playing the Wii U one against each other and screaming at each other, he's a Fox user, so it's more fun when I beat someone else.
Okay, just be Falco and fuck him up, show him his boss.
You know, that used to be fun, but Falco is quite a bit different in the new Smash Brothers, and I think he's just flat out inferior to Fox.
Yeah.
I mean, he was too similar before, so they needed to change him, but now he's just a worse character.
He's still badass. I'll never play it now, because I just want to remember him how I do.
Anyway, this is not the Super Smash Brothers Remembrance episode. This is about Zelda.
It might be, though.
It could be. Link is in Super Smash Brothers. But yeah, that's the adventure of Link. It's a fucking oddball. It's harder than balls, and Link has the most tiny dagger. Like, his main sword is this tiny, like, pinky finger dagger.
Yes, I remember that.
Ugh.
And you can make him, like, sit or stand a certain way, and it looks like it's his wiener.
Yeah, you can crouch.
Remember that, too.
I remember a big thing was crouching to hit people to try and dodge their shit.
Yeah.
I've never beat it. You know that?
No, yeah, I haven't beaten it either. And actually, I mean, even with save states, it'd probably be rough, but, I mean, we could now, but do you care to?
No.
Are you going to go back and do it? No, me neither.
Hell no.
Sleeping dogs lie. Leave it alone.
Seriously, I have my memories of it. I don't need new ones. Like, the old ones are fine.
The old ones are already terrible enough.
I don't need any more. So moving on from that, the next Zelda game actually leaped a console generation. It wasn't until 91 in Japan and 92 for the rest of the world that we got A Link to the Past, many, many people's favorite Zelda game, and certainly the quintessential of this style of isometric 2-ish D Zelda. Link to the Past had a lot going for it, and you know what? I have to admit, I did not play it back in the day.
Really?
Yep, I played it on the Game Boy Advance re-release was my first experience with it.
That was a great re-release.
It was. It just made the original game even better and introduced 4 swords, but we'll talk about that soon.
Soon-ish.
Yes.
Now,
so how did you feel about this game playing it back then? Because
Oh, dude, I loved it. It blew my mind. I liked, you know how everybody talks about how Super Mario World blew their fucking minds and it was like a revelation for them. I didn't really care. I got Super Mario World, and then I got this when, the year it came out, you know, for Christmas or whatever it was. This game blew my mind. I didn't give a shit about Super Mario World. This was the best game. Yeah, everybody says that. You know,
that's still my favorite one.
I'm just a prick, I guess. I don't know.
But maybe not for that reason.
But this game, dude, yeah. This is probably, I don't know, I don't want to say it's my favorite Zelda, because I don't think I can say that, honestly.
It's definitely
But at the time, though, like, this was my favorite game, you know, until somewhere in the PlayStation era, right around Metal Gear Solid. This would have been my favorite game.
Yeah. I wish that I would have experienced it back then. All of the other games, like this style of Zelda game that I had played before Link to the Past, which even though they came out later, I had played them before, they were more NES-based, because they were Game Boy and Game Boy Color games, which that's based on the NES, whereas the Game Boy Advance is based on the Super Nintendo as far as their graphics and stuff. So even when I went back and played A Link to the Past, it was still a leap forward for me, just like it would have been back then, which is kind of funny. So I still got it as this, like, new experience for that type of Zelda game, even though it was, you know, over a decade later. The idea of the Dark World was really, really cool. This entire other, like, bastardized version of Hyrule that you could go to was just really neat. And, you know, they come back to that later on with other games to vary.
Yeah.
And that's
it's kind of cool how the whole series just kind of keeps, it builds on itself in, you know, more ways than most games series. Like, it incorporates gameplay mechanics, and, I mean, it basically retells the same game every time, but just so much better. For the most
and with tons and tons of nods. I'm actually playing A Link Between Worlds right now, and even in just the tiny little bit I've played, there's already been so many nods to previous Zelda games. It's amazing. If you're familiar with the series, the more you play, the more you see and notice. Like, they all feed into each other just wonderfully.
Yeah, I mean, you're hard-pressed to beat Nintendo when it comes to fan.
You really are. And A Link to the Past is fantastic. I will admit, it's not my favorite game in this Zelda style, which I know that's heresy.
In that style?
And not even in that style, it's not my favorite Zelda.
Wow, I was expecting the series, but I didn't expect the style.
No, it's there's one other one that I ended up liking more than that, which we'll get to later on. And I'm
3D dot game here.
We should mention that. And I'm playing A Link Between Worlds right now, and goddamn, I can't say yet. I'm way too early on. It might, nostalgia aside, like forcefully objective, I might like that more, but I'll have to beat it before I can make that decision.
Wow. Nice.
Which I've actually heard that from a lot of people. I don't know if you have, but like the pretty common feeling is, I think A Link Between Worlds might be a better Zelda game, but I just have too much nostalgia for Link to the Past.
Oh yeah, that makes sense though.
It does.
You know, nostalgia doesn't have any reason to it.
It's purely pathos.
We're just old men who miss our childhood.
So that is A Link to the Past. The next game to come out in the Zelda series is A Link's Awakening, and this had an original version on the Game Boy. And then it got a DX Deluxe re-release for the Game Boy Color, which added, I believe, a new area, it certainly added an extra dungeon, and native color support, because Game Boy games could be played on the Game Boy Color with color added, but it wasn't native. So, like, you could actually, I don't remember anymore, it was like pressing start and select, you could change the color palette that was applied to original Game Boy games.
See, but was it like, I don't know, from what I remember was like, the entire screen was just changed color.
It would change
it didn't have any individual colors other than like, oh, this is a little bit darker and this is a little bit lighter, but it's all green or it's all blue or it's all, whatever.
It was something like that. I think that's about how it was, like changing the hue. But the DX re-release, it was actually made for the Game Boy Color, so everything was colored in properly to look like.
Yeah, because that's the one I had.
That's the one I had too. In fact, I've not done with my Zelda collection yet. This summer, I'm planning on going back and buying the very few game series that I'm not done with, and Zelda is one of them. I need to buy the original and the DX version of this, and fuck, that's going to be expensive.
Hold on, I just noticed here, this is kind of surprising. You see it's a 5-year difference between the original and the color.
Isn't that crazy?
The original and DX. That's fucking insane, yeah. I mean, it's insane to think of how long the Game Boy was, like, king shit.
They waited.
Like, the OG Game Boy.
That lasted forever, because it got a refresh with the Pocket. And even though the actual power was getting different, it just was smaller and didn't have that piss yellow, and people were into it again.
I miss the piss yellow.
I never had an original Game Boy, actually. My first one was a Pocket.
Really? I remember I did get a Game Boy. I had all the little handhelds and shit, like Game Boy, Game Gear. I got a Pocket, then I got the Pocket Color.
The color was awesome. I remember being really impressed with that. But yeah, so Link's Awakening, because the Game Boy is based on the NES architecture, just even more limited, that is more akin to the original Zelda game, but because it was newer and they had the Link to the Past experience under their belt, they were able to add a lot more detail and a lot more intricacy, I suppose, into it. Because even though the hardware wasn't any better, they at least had that game design experience. I will admit, though, I've not completed this game. I bought it when it was brand new, when I was a kid, because I liked Zelda. I got so fucking lost and confused on where to go, I quit playing it and sold it.
Really? Wow.
So when I do go back and rebuy that, I'm beating it. Like, that game needs to be beaten. People love this Zelda game.
Yeah, no, I have beaten it. It's a great game. It's actually, I like the writing in it. I don't remember specific details here, but I do remember it being quite a bit more humorous than the other Zeldas do.
Yeah, and I really need to experience it. So at some point, maybe this summer once I've got it, or fuck, maybe I won't even wait and I'll just beat it on the Virtual Console on the 3DS. Obviously, I have to buy them for the collection, but that doesn't mean I have to play it there.
Right, yeah. I mean, why not? You know what I'm saying?
So that's definitely...
Just get it out, play it as soon as possible. I don't believe it's that long of a game.
I wouldn't know, but that's definitely on my short list. And I would like to track down the strategy guide for that, just because that'd be cool to have.
Yeah, it's too bad, it's too bad they don't, like, re-release the game, like, full-blown re-release some crazy shit and make a hardcover strategy guide like all these other games.
I'm surprised they haven't re-released this game, to be honest. It kind of seems like it's begging for it. Honestly, if they...
okay. I was going to say any other series, though. This would be silly to even think of this to happen, but with, like, Nintendo and Zelda, by you saying that, you'd be surprised it's not happening. That's legitimate. Like, it's okay to expect it with a series this big, because they could get away with selling a physical copy of this game for $40 like all the other games.
Although, the one thing that I will say for Nintendo with Zelda, by and large, there are hitches in this, but by and large, they don't remake Zelda games. They port them. You know, we got the original 2 on Game Boy Advance. They were direct ports. We got the N64 ones and the NES ones on GameCube, direct ports. Even the 3DS versions, they changed a little bit more from Majora's Mask, but the graphics are slightly upgraded, and other than that, they're a nearly direct port. Like, Wind Waker is the closest we've got to a remake, and even that was like, hey, prettier graphics.
Yeah.
They did some behind-the-scenes stuff with, like, the engine and the lighting and stuff. That's really cool. But the game itself, there were tiny, tiny differences, and nearly just a direct HD port. Like, they don't remake these games. So even if they did re-release Link's Awakening, I doubt they'd remake it, which is what I'd want. I want to see Link's Awakening with Link to the Past graphics. That would be fucking awesome.
Yeah. Oh, man. And, you know, I don't think it would be that difficult.
How could it be? Like, they have the game.
I think,
you know what? Engine.
I think a good modder or fucking homebrewer out there could recreate Link's Awakening inside of A Link to the Past. Just make it happen.
I agree with you, but Nintendo is so draconian and obsessively copyright happy that project would be taken down as soon as it started. Nintendo doesn't care if you love their games. They don't care about free advertising. They don't care about whether they're actually losing any money or not. They control their shit. Fuck you.
Yeah. But, I mean, I don't know. You see people do that kind of stuff, as long as they just dump it for free.
Even those get cease and desist, and Nintendo would be at the forefront of doing that. I unfortunately don't think that's possible.
Well, like, that Metroid remake, that's still going through.
You're right.
The Metroid 2.
Right, I'm surprised about that. Which, little public service announcement, yeah. Somebody remade Metroid 2 in the style of Super, Zero Mission, and Fusion. Oh my god, I haven't played it yet. It looks incredible.
It's not completely done. I did download, it's the beta ROM. It's not completely
not
finished.
quite finished? Okay, it looks so good though.
Yeah, it looks amazing.
Spoiler, we're going to do a Metroid Memories episode as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
But this is not
we keep getting off. See, we're just so excited about all these franchises. We want to talk about them. But yeah, so...
Yeah, well, because you can't talk about Zelda and then not talk about Nintendo, and that just steamrolls, you know what I'm saying?
It's snowballs.
But we'll try to stay focused.
Speaking of which, we are
snowballs.
Trudging on to the next game in the series, and this was, like, the most revolutionary jump. I think this is right up there with Super Mario 64 for blow your fucking mind, redefine gaming, change everything, amazing balls. Ocarina of Time. There had never been anything like this before. To go from 2D isometric Zelda games to this fucking giant masterpiece, it blew people away. Like, I don't have the sales figures in front of me. I don't know how many copies it sold, but I'm sure this game just printed money. And it has one of the most lasting legacies of any Nintendo game ever. Ever. That's saying something for Nintendo games.
Yeah, no shit. I think I don't know, it's probably, aside from, Mario 3, is that still the biggest Mario, like, recognition-wise? This is probably the biggest recognized Nintendo game that I can think of.
Is Mario 3? I don't know. I feel like maybe Super Mario 64 is, just because it, like...
Well, like, they made
it defined the
Wizard, that was a movie. I'm talking about at the time, like, recognition. I mean, I guess they just say, Mario and Link or Mario and Zelda, but I think this is the most well-known Zelda game and one of the most well-known Nintendo games of all time.
It is. Everything about it. This game defined Zelda games to this day. They are defined by Ocarina of Time.
Yeah, everyone's still trying to, stand up to it. It's like, it is the Final Fantasy VII of the Zelda series. Whether it's as good as you remember it or not, the series is always trying to live up to it.
It is. I will say this, though, just because I am kind of a slight Final Fantasy VII dissenter, just because I played it too, and I don't quite see what everyone else does, even though, let me say, I like it. I'm not saying it's a bad game, but the biggest thing that Final Fantasy VII brought to the table was graphics and cutscenes, because the active time battle system already existed, big JRPGs already existed, and that type of storytelling already existed, even from that series. This didn't. This was actually something new. And yes, the graphics were part of that, but the graphics allowed them to design a world and a gameplay system we could not have had before. That's what was so exciting.
Oh yeah, no, technically, this game was way more revolutionary for the series, I think, than Final Fantasy. But I'm just saying, as far as fan standards, I think that it's the same level there.
Oh, I completely agree.
Both series, have something to live up to their fans of those games.
Yeah, I completely agree. I I'm glad we agree.
I agree with you that I don't think Ocarina's the best one. But, oh my god, dude, you don't want to say that too loud if people get off the fucking pitchforks.
Now, keep in mind, people, when you say the best one, that means you can only choose one. There's a lot of really good ones, so just saying that Ocarina isn't the best one doesn't mean, like, fuck Ocarina, it's overhyped. I fucking love Ocarina, alright? It's probably one of my all-time favorite games. I've played the fucker 7 times, probably.
Yeah, Logan plays the Ocarina, dude.
I actually thought about it when I was a kid.
I know you did.
Who didn't? When Nintendo Power started having those advertisements for it.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I was tempted, but like, in my house, if I would've asked, like, hey, Dad, I probably would've got punched in the fucking face, dude. He'd have seen the picture of a little elf boy playing an ocarina and just kicked my ass for even asking.
But yeah, so I got Ocarina of Time not long after I got my 64. I got it, it came out holiday season, unless I'm mistaken. I definitely got it for Christmas, along with the strategy guide. And the strategy guide I got for it was from Versus Books, back when they still existed. Fuck, they made the best strategy guides. I am so pissed that they don't exist.
That was the greatest Christmas of my life, Logan. That was the Christmas of 88. Or wait, 88, 98.
Yeah, 98.
Yeah, 98, dude, because that was Metal Gear Solid, that was fucking,
oh, hell yeah.
Ocarina of Time, and that was, the greatest year in gaming. Even to this day.
Absolutely fantastic. So I got the strategy guide, I played through it. I didn't get everything the first time, so I played through it again and got everything that time. It was just incredible. I've since played this, I think I went back and played it again on 64. When it was released on GameCube, because for those that don't know, the GameCube actually had Ocarina of Time released twice on it. Once was a pre-order disc that had Ocarina of Time and the Ocarina of Time Master Quest, which we never got in America. Right. That was a retelling of Ocarina of Time. Not really retelling. It was the same exact game, but the dungeons were hard as fucking balls redesigned. Everything else was the same, except for when you stepped into a dungeon, you were in a whole new world, and it was scary.
It was awesome.
And there was also another collector's edition disc released for GameCube that had Ocarina, Majora's Mask, Master Quest, Zelda 1, and Zelda 2. So that's Ocarina. And also, I gotta say, I really like the soundtracks on a lot of Zelda games. That one is the most memorable. Because the music, that was the first game, and this has been another trend ever since then. That was the first game where the music was a gameplay mechanic. And my god, it was memorable.
Oh my god, and riding the fucking horse, dude. Do you remember the first time you walked out and, like, that big open field in 3D like that?
Or when you...
And then the day and night cycle.
My god, that was amazing. When you steal Epona in the future, when you get Epona and she's yours, like, the freedom and feeling coming from that, like, oh my god, the horse is mine.
Yeah.
I can just call it. It's mine now.
And there's so many memorable, like, areas that you'd have been to in A Link to the Past, but now you're actually seeing in a super relatable way, especially for 98. Like, it looked realistic.
Yeah, no, I did not have that because, again, I played this before Link to the Past, so it wasn't like, wow, that's what Kakariko Village would look like in 3D. I didn't have that. They were just new areas to me. But some of the music, man.
Fucking Gorgons and shit. Is that what they were? Gorgons or Gorons?
Gorons.
What are the fish bitches? The fish people?
Princess Rudo, they are the... How can I not think of what they're called? That is unacceptable. Zora.
We are not Zelda fans. Yeah.
Zora's so good. But man, the Gerudo Valley music is amazing. I can play that on guitar. Like, not the strumming flamenco part, the actual...
And hold on. And that will be right here.
If only we had it recorded.
Wow, Logan, that was fantastic.
Wasn't it? You guys can't hear it. That was just for us.
Oh, I thought you were going to send me the file, right? We'll put it in. Come on. I have to jump in here for a second because I know Logan was acting like he didn't want to do his Gerudo Valley song, but I got him to do it, and here it is. And you're going to listen to it in its entirety. Enjoy.
And then there was the ones that you learned as an adult from each of the sages, where Sheik would come in and she would play with you, and it got really dynamic. The Minuet of Forest, the Bolerio of Fire, that was my favorite one.
What's the, what's that shit?
Lost Woods.
That's my shit.
Jera's song, the Kokiri Forest.
I love that
song.
God.
We love Ocarina of Time. So, moving on, we had one more Zelda game released for the N64, which, that's kind of the last time we got multiple ones per generation. Well, not really. Never mind. Twilight Princess was cross-generational. It's hard to say.
It was a weird one.
So, Majora's Mask was very, very much dug out of Ocarina of Time's ask. We had repeat characters, repeat locations. It looked very similar, but it was a little bit expanded because it used the expansion pack, so, they could pack in more colors and bigger areas and make it more dynamic. This, I'm just going to come out and say, is my favorite Zelda game. It is objectively the most artistic Zelda game there is, and that's why it's my favorite one. That doesn't mean that it has to be like you like what it does the most. That's just me being subjective, but it is the most artistic one, and I just fucking love it.
Yeah, it's the one that really feels exactly like one dude's vision.
Majora's Mask, for those that don't know, they take Hyrule from Ocarina of Time because it's a direct sequel. You're the same Link. And they take it, and you go into this twisted, off world where it feels dissonant. It feels like you're looking in a cracked mirror, or you're playing a scale a half step off.
Yeah, it's the Twilight Zone Zelda edition. Like, it's fucking
everything
amazing.
Is fucked. The music is off, and it's offsetting, and it's off-putting. The characters are weird and creepy, bad and just strange things happen, and they're just accepted. And the entire world is going to end in 3 days with a giant, smiling, creepy fucking moon above you. Majora's Mask is amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah, so when did you play that one? Did you play that when it first came out?
When it came out, I happened to have saved up money because I knew it was coming out, so I saved up money for it. I went into Game Crazy. I bought the game, and they didn't have the Versus Book strategy guide, so I bought the Prima one. Fucking hated it, went online, bought the Versus Books guide, waited to play the game, and then actually enjoyed it.
Wow, you waited. Holy shit.
I was already
I don't know if I would have had that kind of patience.
I was already a completionist, trying to do everything with the Prima guide, because Versus Books were a literal walkthrough. Prima guides have gotten way better. Back then, it would, show you something or be and check the side quest section. So trying to do everything in that. You're flipping back and forth constantly, making notes and trying to remember what to do. Whereas the Versus Books guide told you what to do sequentially, like it was an actual walkthrough, which made way more sense.
See, I never dealt with Prima guides and shit like that, because, for Nintendo games, I always got, the official Nintendo ones, and then, Brady guides and shit like that, and those weren't that great.
Yeah,
the Versus guides were way better.
The Prima guide I have Prima guides now, and I've enjoyed them. I think they do Ni no Kuni. That was a wonderful guide.
Yeah, well, nowadays I'm sure they're a lot better. I think they did the South Park one. That one's
the
good.
one for Majora's Mask can suck my left nut, though. It literally ruined my enjoyment of that game for a week while I waited for the other one to get there because it was so disorganized and shitty. But the other really interesting thing Majora's Mask has going for it, gameplay-wise, it's super similar. The biggest gameplay difference is that you can now transform into a Zora, a Deku, Baba, a Deku Nut, the little forest wooden people, and a Goron. And they all play quite different, and you just put on a mask, and now you're one of those people, which was just crazy. And you also had different swords, which was really cool, because in the other one, in Ocarina of Time, Kid Link could only have this shitty little Kokiri sword. Now Kid Link is rocking these big fucking swords, and it just looks awesome.
Yeah, I didn't play that one till the GameCube.
Oh, that's crazy.
And and when I did, I loved it, obviously, but I was super bummed that I didn't, pick it up and play it, back in 2000. Because, the whole time, I was just thinking, oh, fuck, I should have just played, Ocarina again. Because, it had been a while, and it felt like those are one complete package together.
Yeah, they are. Because you cannot appreciate Majora's Mask without playing Ocarina. You need to see the normal world to appreciate being backwards and fucked up.
Because it's not even just the environment. The way the people talk to you, everybody's so
off.
It's so weird. Yeah,
everybody is creepy.
So
and you can't even put your finger on it. The way that they talk, the things that they say and do, the music too. That whoever composed it, I don't know if Koji Kondo did this one. I'm assuming he did because he does most of them. It is so masterfully done to just feel unsettling and just off.
Yeah, and because it's so morbid and so dark. And if you haven't played this game, you are doing yourself a huge disservice. Anybody listening who hasn't played it, you need to go check this game out.
It was also,
and I'm surprised it got made. To be honest, with you.
I believe it was also revolutionary in its side quest system because depending on there was an hour for every single day because the game is on a 3-day time limit. You could actually see what time of what day you were in, and people had schedules. They'd be at this place on this day and do this thing, and as you interacted with them, that would change. You advanced side quests where this, affected that, made this person go there to talk to this person and change this. There is so much depth to all of the side quests that you could complete in this game. And even though every time you played the Song of Time you would reset, if you completed a side quest, you'd get it checked off in your notebook, and whatever reward you got at the end, a new mask or a piece of heart or something like that, you kept that.
Right.
That was, in my knowledge at least, revolutionary. I don't think any games had done that in-depth of a system like that at that point.
Yeah, I mean, if it did it, I don't think it came out in America.
A game that really, really riffs on this, which I've only played a little bit of, and I fully intend to go back on the PS2 emulator and fully play, is Radiata, if you're going to pronounce it Japanese.
Radiata Stories?
Yep. Radiata Stories has the Majora's Mask side quest system in it. It has the people that move around at different times of the day. They all affect each other. They have places they're supposed to be. It works on time. All of that is in Radiata Stories. But those, as you go through it, not only do you see quirky, fun parts of the game, but you recruit a bunch of people. It's kind of like Suikoden in that you can recruit a fuck ton of people. But it's totally the Majora's Mask side quest system, and that's amazing.
So it's like a fucking Tri-Ace game or some shit?
Yeah.
Who is it? Is
it? Actually.
Of course
yeah,
it is.
Because I don't think there's Star Ocean characters in it, but there's Valkyrie profile characters in it.
Oh, nice. That's kind of cool.
Yeah. That's a really cool game. For people that are into JRPGs, check out Radiata Stories, because that has so much from Majora's Mask in it.
Wow, I didn't know that at all.
So that's a pretty cool little boon for that. But that did it for the N64 and the advent of the 3D Zelda game. The next Zelda...
Oh, and also, hey, Majora's Mask is coming out. Go buy it on 3DS.
By the time this is out, it's out.
It's already out. And you didn't get your special edition. Boo-hoo for you.
Yeah. Yeah. I did, though. So.
Yes, moving on to what happened next. Did Zelda take a long break?
Nope. It was one short year later when the next set of... And this time it was a set of Zelda games. Spurred on by the success of the Pokemon formula, they decided that the next Zelda game, they would make two... And they're completely different games. The stories are different. The locations are different. They are two games. But they're just very similar in style, and they play into each other in their stories. The Oracle games. Oracle of Seasons and Oracle of Ages on the Game Boy Color in 2001. Did you play these?
I did play these.
So did I. I fucking love these games.
Yeah, they're great. I mean, and this was Capcom was great back then too.
Capcom
so no surprise.
For those that don't know, which is bananas.
Yeah, I think what it was is Nintendo reached out to Capcom to have them we trust you enough to do something with our Zelda series, because they wanted to cash in on the Pokemon. Yep. Two games at the same time, and it worked. I don't remember how the link cable stuff with this worked out.
I gotta give them this much, though. Even though it is cashing on the Pokemon thing, Pokemon games, at that point at least, were identical, except for, a legendary and the ones you could catch. Later on, the stories changed a tiny bit, but these are two separate games. You're not going to the same places.
Yeah, completely different.
The same stories. They're separate games that just intertwine with each other. But when you beat one, you would get either a code or the ability to link up, in which case you would need two Game Boys. So you could do either way if you didn't have two Game Boys. And then you could go play the other one. And then when you beat that using that code, you would get a code from that. And you would go back and forth 3 times to unlock more content, where you would fight the big main boss from Ages in Seasons. And then you beat that and you got a code. And then you go back to Ages and you'd fight the boss from Seasons in Ages. And then at the very end of it all, you could finally face off against Ganon. If you'd gone through all the links between the two, you could see the true final ending and the final boss. Such a cool idea.
I was going to say that was that's the only time I've ever seen that to this day where they did something like that, and that was so cool. I don't even remember how old. When did these come out?
2001. I was 11.
Fuck. So yeah, wow. I think I was like 13. Was I? I don't even know, dude. Look at maths. Stupid.
Great games, though. Absolutely fantastic games. This is, even though it was on the Game Boy Color, so it wasn't as good looking as A Link to the Past, because the Game Boy Color can't do that. They definitely took what they learned from that game, and even some of what they learned from the N64 ones, even though this is very much a return to the old style, and just made these great isometric Zelda games. Like, they blew everybody away with the N64 ones, and then they were like, hey, we still know how to do the old ones too. Bam.
Right, yeah. They didn't look as good as Link to the Past, but I think those are two of the best looking games on the Game Boy Color, for sure. They still look really good.
And content and design-wise, these easily stand shoulder to shoulder with Link to the Past, which is impressive on NES-style hardware. And
I don't think a lot of people played these, and I know a lot of people didn't complete them.
However, for those that didn't, it's much easier now because you can get them for super cheap on the 3DS. I own both. I paid $5 a pop because I barely remember these games. I will go back and play them at some point.
Yeah, that's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, I think they're a little bit more now. I think they're like $7.50. That was a special when they came out. But even still, fuck, man. So yeah, those games are awesome.
Yeah, because they're not short.
No, especially if you.
There's a ton of content. Yeah, there's a ton of content.
Lots of secrets to be had. Just great games. The next game to come out in the Zelda series was the second remake, because Link's Awakening DX already existed. The next Zelda game was the re-release of A Link to the Past, the port, for Game Boy Advance, which I don't think added any content, but God, I could be wrong. Do you remember if it did?
No, I don't think it did. I'm looking here. I don't remember playing this one.
This is where I played A Link to the Past.
Yeah, I did not play this one. Is it anything special? Because honestly, it sucks because I didn't play this one and you didn't play the other one, so we can't really say if anything was different.
Yeah, I'm looking it up. I'm not... Oh, wait, there are some changes. There is a new... Okay, additions to A Link to the Past include voice clips. So apparently in the Super Nintendo one, he didn't make the noises when he attacked like he does in the 64 one. He does in this.
Oh, it came with 4 swords, too.
We'll get to that. For the actual Link to the Past, though, voices were added for attacks and stuff, a brand new dungeon, and an additional sequence tacked onto the ending if you beat the dungeon.
Oh, okay, wow.
There was also the ability to unlock a continuous spin slash attack. And they overhauled one of the dungeons, or one of the puzzles in the 5th dungeon of Dark World. The text was overhauled with a different format to make it easier to read. And obviously, the Game Boy Advance had a smaller screen, so even though it was like a portable SNES, games just looked better on it because it was more condensed.
Right.
So that's cool. They did actually add and change some things, making this the definitive version. So it wasn't a bad one to start with. It's a great game made even better. There's really nothing else to say about it.
Yeah. And it's just, I don't want to play it on a little Game Boy screen. Fucking, what's that?
Game Boy Player.
Game Boy Player Advance. Yeah. Game Boy Player. Yeah, there you go. The definitive version. Now I kind of want to play that. I didn't know they added another dungeon. Yeah. I mean, I don't really care if they changed the font and changed the puzzle, but if there's another dungeon, I mean, why not? I haven't played that game in a while. It's great, so I should probably play it again.
With A Link to the Past, however, came a brand new thing for Zelda, and that was Four Swords. Four Swords was a cooperative game where you played through levels literally competing with 4 different Links. It was called Four Swords because the 4 sword allowed Link to split into purple, red, green, and blue Links. And it was all like 4 versions of the same one. And you played this co-op via link cable with friends. You could play with up to 4 people if they all had Link to the Past. And you competed with each other for points and treasures going through, I think there were 4 different worlds that had separate stages in them. I think that's what it was. It had its own story, even though it was pretty light on it. And it does actually fit into the timeline. And it was pretty crazy. Did you ever... Well, I guess you didn't, because you didn't play...
Yeah, I never played it. I mean, it did come out on GameCube, right? Because I seem to remember...
The GameCube one is a sequel. That's actually... It's the same style of game. It's not the same game, though. It has a new story and new stages.
Okay, so no, I never played either of the Four Swords games.
The original Four Swords, my friend Greg also had A Link to the Past on Game Boy. We got it at the same time. So we played through the Four Swords, and we had a really good time with it. It was a cool experience.
Yeah, unfortunately, I never got to... It's not like I can pick it up now and play it.
Actually, you could. It got the original one was re-released on 3DS, and I believe it has if it's not wireless, it at least has local multiplayer.
Oh, wow. Well, maybe I will.
Yeah, so there is that.
One day, at a PAX in the future or something.
Yeah, exactly. So the next game in the Zelda series actually came out the same year, because that was only a expanded port. That didn't really cut it, so I guess they released them together to build hype. I don't know. I don't even remember what order they came out in. I'm guessing Link to the Past came out first, but Wind Waker came out in 2002, the same year, for the GameCube, and this was such a divisive game when it came out. Once people got over it, everybody agreed it was an amazing game, but the art style was such an enormous departure. Man, It was polarizing at first.
All my friends at school hated it.
I did too at first, and then I played it, and I felt like a bitch, because it was amazing.
I loved it. I absolutely... This is definitely, probably for me, honestly, top 3 Zelda games.
Totally fair enough.
Just like, the ship and the grid map, and like I remember a friend of mine, Nick, it sounds so stupid nowadays, but we spent hours just treasure hunting.
Yeah, and if you didn't have a strategy guide, that's how long it takes.
Yeah, exactly.
I have a guide.
We didn't have a guide, and we were just, plowing through that game, but we were having so much fun it didn't matter. But earlier I said I would rant about our water temple, because the first time I played this game, I didn't finish it for a long time. Because I think the second water temple or whatever, very far in the game, you're carrying the princess bitch, and it's at the entrance. There's a big cliff where you're supposed to jump across, to the other section, and I was carrying her, and I fell. No big deal, normally, except for when the game reloaded, the bitch was gone. She wasn't anywhere in that temple. I ran through the whole thing. She wasn't back, at her spot where I got her. She was nowhere. Nothing I could do. And, I was stupid. I didn't have a good backup save file. I'd lost a ton of time. So I quit for years. I was so pissed and so disheartened by, when something like that happens, it just,
oh, for sure.
Just really put me off of the game. So I didn't finish it for, a few years later. And thankfully, when I went back and played it, no problems, beat the game. And it's still to this day, like I said, top 3 Zeldas. I love the art style. I love the smoke effects. I love how it feels like the best cartoon I've ever played. It's just so beautiful. I love flying, grabbing the leaves and, float flying and all that shit, and just like the wind effects and how everything looks in that watercolor cel-shaded look or whatever.
And while it didn't actually revolutionize Zelda the way that Ocarina of Time did, it refined it, and a lot of the refinements continue on to this day. Refinements to the combat system, refinements to the items that they added, or things like that. It was an important Zelda game. It really refined the formula that they had created on the Nintendo 64. What it did do different was the sailing around, like we were just talking about. There was a giant world map. Everything took place on the island, and you could sail around on the King of Red Lions, and
he was awesome.
He was fucking awesome. And spoiler, he's the King of Hyrule.
Why you gotta do that?
But yeah, the Wind Waker is absolutely awesome, very fondly remembered, and we'll talk about it again a little bit when we get to the more recent Zelda games, because there's a remaster of it.
I would like a sequel, please.
Well, they kind of gave you 2, but not really what anybody wanted.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
we'll get there. I do remember one thing from Wind Waker, because the previous games, everybody knew Oracle of Seasons was its own thing, but since Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, Majora's Mask was a direct sequel, that was the same Link, and those were so successful, when the Wind Waker came out, everybody was trying so hard to connect the dots to how this fit into the Ocarina of Time timeline.
Yeah.
Because that was such a big thing. It's like, okay, this has to be a sequel somehow. How does it fit in? Hyrule's flooded. What happened, Is this the same people? Is this in the future? When did this happen? That was such a big thing for people back then.
Yeah, because there had to be a reason. Things had to tie together and make sense.
Yeah. So 2 short years later, we got another Zelda game released on the GameCube, and this was the Four Swords Adventure. This was taking the formula of the original Four Swords, which was bundled in with Link to the Past, and making a full game out of it. This one on the GameCube, so it looked better. It had 4-player, which was much easier to do with 4 controllers on the GameCube. and it had a new story, it was a new game. It was just an expansion. Let me get my verbiage right.
Wait, so hold on. Could you not do 4-player if you hooked up the Game Boy player and 4 GameCube controllers on the original 4 Swords?
I guess you could.
Huh?
I guess you could.
There you go.
There you go. But yeah, this was new stages, a new story, and just taking everything the original one did and making it bigger and truly a full game. I've only played a tiny bit of this. I never got to play through the whole thing. I should go and do that at some point, because I'm missing out. Did you play this?
No, I never played any of the 4 Swords games. They just, honestly, they just didn't interest me. I remember seeing commercials and ads in magazines, and I don't know. I don't know why I didn't care, but it just didn't seem like something I'd be into.
I mean, I'll say they're good.
I mean, it was Zelda, so it's like, oh, that looks cool, but just like the actual gameplay and I guess my very misinformed understanding of what the games were, I just didn't seem to care.
Well, you can always rectify that at some point.
Right. Well, so 4 Swords Adventures on GameCube.
That's only on GameCube. If you want to play it, you're playing it.
Right. So now when you say it's got a story, now what does that really mean? Like, what kind of story mode? Is it just like a bunch of random one-screen maps where you're competing against 3 of your friends every map?
Story. There's boss fights and there's little things where you see things going on. The original one introduced a brand new villain, Vadi, the wind sorcerer or something like that. I don't remember him playing a huge part in this one, but he's part of it. And this one involves Ganondorf getting a trident of power and transforming into Ganon. In fact, this may be the origin of where he first did that. I don't remember, though.
Right. Well, I don't know. Let's see. That's the other thing is it's GameCube, so good luck getting 3 people or 4 people on one couch playing a GameCube game.
Yeah, seriously.
I wonder how fun 4 Swords is by yourself.
You couldn't play the original one by yourself. This one, I think you can.
Really? Well, maybe. Maybe I will one day. Because I really doubt that I might be able to convince one person to play with me, but I don't think I can get a full game going. And what's the point if you can't?
Yeah, I could probably convince one person as well, but I don't know. We'll see. The next game in the Zelda series that actually released the same year, it seems like they like to do that. When they release like a smaller game or like a port or something like that, then they like to get another one out the same year, like build hype for each other or something. So this also came out in 2004, and this is The Legend of Zelda: The Minish Cap, exclusive to the Game Boy Advance. This is my favorite isometric Zelda game.
This is one of my biggest shames.
I fucking love this game.
You
are so missing out. It's the art style of the Wind Waker.
Yeah.
Done on the Game Boy Advance in the style. So basically take A Link to the Past, put the Wind Waker coat of paint on it, put in a new mechanic of the Minish Cap. It makes you be small. So put in a new mechanic of getting small, a fuck ton of side quests and collectibles, and it's also the origin of Vadi from the 4 Swords. This game is everything that A Link to the Past is, with a fresh coat of paint, a decade more of game design experience, and it's brilliant. It's just so good.
I do want to play it. It does look amazing. I mean, just the fucking, isn't it the hat is like a talking bird?
And he is a snarky son of a
I want that. I need that in my life.
It's awesome. If you like the isometric Zelda games, you'll love the Minish Cap. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. That's it. And if you like the Wind Waker style, you'll like it even more, because it has that art style.
I pretty much like any game with a snarky sidekick. When I think about it. Like Wheatley or, what's the dude? Who was the boner? What was he? What was his name?
What was his name? It's some proper name. Or like your French robot from Binary Domain.
I just love anything with a snarky fucking side character or sidekick. So I have no excuse. I need to play this game. I have it.
The one takeaway
I just have never
done this entire episode for you is that you need to play this game. You like the isometric Zelda games. You love the Wind Waker art style. You will fucking come all over this game. It's just so good.
All right. I'm going to do it. I'm doing it. I promise. I promise that I'm doing it. Oh, dear. We're going to play this game. I'm going to play it this week. I will start it. I won't beat it, but I promise to start this game so we can talk about it.
Nice, because I'm playing a Zelda game too, so on our next regular episode, we'll both have a Zelda game to talk about.
It's all Zelda
Why
all
not?
the time until it's all Metroid.
Yeah, exactly. So the next game to come along, 2 years later, and this one, they'd been talking about it for a while, showing it at E3. It kept getting delayed, and we kept having to wait for it. And this is Twilight Princess, and it was really weird. They delayed the game so fucking long that it got a dual release for GameCube and for the Wii. So this was technically a second Zelda game for the GameCube generation, and also a first one for the Wii. Even though it wasn't designed for the Wii, it was just kind of ham-fisted, shoestringed into it.
Yeah. Held together by bubble
Yeah,
gum.
so this is very much a Ocarina of Time style game. It's not like...
Very much.
It's not like the Wind Waker. They went back to the Ocarina style and tried to make it darker and more realistic. The game reminds me a lot of Ocarina. It feels like a direct sequel to Ocarina of Time to me in many ways.
Yep. No, totally.
And
it definitely feels like that. And it also feels like it takes place in the same possibility of Majora's Mask. Like, I feel like, obviously, all three of those games feel like some sort of trilogy to me.
yeah, and also, something that's really cool with this, it does take place in the same... Oh, God, I have to try to remember. If memory serves, because there is an official timeline, Twilight Princess takes place in... It's either...
It does... It's 100 years after Ocarina of Time.
Yeah, but Ocarina of Time splinters it into 3 separate timelines.
Oh. Well, I know that it's a parallel dimension to the Wind Waker. Okay.
I want to say...
That's all I know.
I want to say that Twilight Princess is stemming off from the Desolate Future timeline of Ocarina of Time, because Link defeats Ganondorf in that time, and then physically goes back to the other timeline where it doesn't happen at all because he's able to beat him and all that. So this takes place in the future timeline where Ganondorf has been defeated, but Link is also gone. And hundreds of years later is when Twilight Princess happens, if I remember.
I'll buy it.
So one cool thing that's in it, you are actually, it had the most complicated combat system of any of the games so far, with like counters and dodges, and obviously it's not like a super in-depth system, but it was cool to have some stuff added. But you are taught your new sword techniques by a white wolf, and that white wolf is blatantly the hero of time from Ocarina of Time. It's that Link teaches you your sword techniques, which is really fucking cool.
Yep, and it's more Nintendo fan service. Because that was probably one of the best moments of that game is when you realize that.
Cool. It was also just a...
So huge spoilers. We just ruined it for a bunch of people because that is one of the coolest moments.
It's also just a dark game. I mean, there's a dark Twilight world, again, going back to a dual world system like they had in A Link to the Past, where things are just evil and nasty, and like there's big General Zant or something like that is like the leader of that, and Ganondorf makes a reappearance. It's a dark game. There's a ton of side content. There's a lot to do, and everything just has... It's the grittiest, most realistic-looking Zelda game that exists.
That's
by
fair.
far.
It's definitely not the best.
I actually recently replayed this. I didn't end up finishing it because I got far enough in where it's like, okay, damn it, I still remember too much of this. I'm not going to finish it. But, man, they took a more is better approach. And in a lot of ways, yeah, it was cool to have all that. The game is too fucking big. Trying to get around from place to place within the different, like within Lake Hylia, within the Zora's Domain, on Hyrule Field, the fucking areas are too big. They're such a pain in the ass to get through.
And that's what put you off from it,
That's the game's biggest downfall. I still like the game. I loved it at the time it came out. It's too big. That is, of all the 3D Zelda games, this one is tied with Skyward Sword for worst one. Not to say it's a bad game, but it's too fucking big. And that's really annoying, whereas the 2 on 64 and Wind Waker don't have some, like, horrible hindrance. This does. It's too big. That's it.
Well, this is, I'm sad to say, but this is the last Zelda game that I've completed. Like, from now on. It's not the last one I've played, but it is the last one that I've played.
You gotta fix that shit, because, spoiler, we're gonna talk about Skyward Sword. You need to play Skyward Sword. Yes, it has problems, but God, it's still a good game. Yeah. I have so many fun
I know, that's the one. All the other ones, like, you know, that we're gonna bring up, I haven't touched. But Skyward Sword, I played for a little while, and I couldn't get into it, so I never finished it.
It's worth trudging through. I have tons of fond memories from it, and I'm gonna be pretty critical about it, because it has problems too, but it's still a really good game. But one interesting thing to note for the Twilight Princess, between the two versions, on the Wii, you shook the remote, you did the waggle to attack, which fucking sucked. and you aimed with the Wiimote rather than an analog stick, which wasn't too bad, actually. But the really interesting thing is that the world, the entire game is mirrored between the two versions.
What?
Take the GameCube version and then look at it, look at your TV in a mirror, and that's the Wii version.
Oh, yeah, I do remember hearing this. They switched it from, Link's left-handed to now he's right-handed, the entire world.
Yeah, so in order to...
But there's a reason for that.
They couldn't just make him right, because
obviously,
since you're playing it with the Wii remote, you're going to be doing things with your right hand for aiming and stuff, so they wanted him to as well. But Link has always been left-handed, so instead of just changing that, they mirrored the game.
Yes, that's what the reason was. That's fucking
It's
dumb.
stupid as shit, but it ultimately doesn't matter, but it's very strange. Also, playing with the Wii
I forgot all about
kind of
that.
cool. I liked that. A lot of people didn't.
What do you mean kind of cool? I thought that was
running
amazing.
around as the wolf was just neat.
Maybe think of Okami or something.
Oh, yeah, which, by the way...
Great Zelda game.
Yeah. I think, to be honest, Majora's Mask aside, Okami is my favorite 3D Zelda game.
There you go. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Anybody...
That's why Binding of Isaac is one of my favorite Zelda games.
Any of you guys listening, obviously if you're listening to this and you're listening still to this point, you must like Zelda. Dude, play Okami on the Wii. No. Play it on PS3. It has a remake. And play it with the Move, because the motion controls actually made that game better. Play Okami on PS3 with the Move.
Holy shit, dude. I've used my Move.
I don't have one. But I played it on Wii. But the Move is just a better Wiimote, and the motion controls made the game better. The game looks gorgeous in HD. Okami is the best Zelda game they've made in years. Oh, it's so good.
Except for 3D Game Heroes. Some people say Darksiders, but, whatever.
Yeah, Darksiders has elements, there's no doubt, but Okami is just flat out a Zelda game.
Yeah, it is totally, and it's great. And I haven't played the newer version. I have the PS3 one, but I haven't played it since PS2.
I played it for the first time on Wii. I own the Wii, the PS2, and in Japan it got a physical release on PS3, and it has English. So...
And it's cheap. It's not expensive.
Yeah, so if you're going to get it on PS3 and you're a collector, fucking import that. You're getting the full game anyway.
But, so actually that might be the last Zelda game. No, that came out before Twilight Princess, didn't it?
Yeah, because that was a PS2 game, and Twilight Princess came out at the end of that era.
Right, okay.
But, so there's that. Anyway, moving on from Twilight. Twilight Princess was really kind of Zelda's fall from grace, too, because while people still like it, there's a lot of people that don't care for it. I think people are too hard on it. It's still a really good game.
Yeah, people are, the internet is fucking stupid, but you see a lot of hate for Twilight Princess.
I think that's the worst reviewed Zelda game to date. Not counting now, but to go back to 2006, and that was the worst one to that date as far as reviewed.
That's probably true. Unless somebody else really hated Zelda 2 like you.
Oh, it looks like Twilight Princess actually is in the timeline where Link goes back in time and has Ganondorf executed because he went back in time and had the Master Sword and all that. So it is from Ocarina of Time, but it's from that timeline, not the Desolate Future.
See, the Desolate Future is the one I want to see.
I can't remember.
Super dystopian, like a direct sequel to Majora's Mask, where the world did get fucking destroyed, but somewhere.
Although
it's like Mario Galaxy, there's just chunks of the planet floating around that are still working. That'd be amazing.
So the next Zelda games, I'm gonna just cheat. We're gonna talk about them together because neither of us have played them, and they're a set. 2007, we got a DS exclusive, Phantom Hourglass. 2009, we got another DS exclusive, Spirit Tracks. Both of these games take place in the Wind Waker timeline. They have the Wind Waker style, and they are both 100% stylus played. And that's why I never played them. And the word on the street is that they kind of fucking suck.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and all the stylus controls, I'm not into that, and I'd never heard good things about them anyway, so I just didn't have interest.
Same. I own them, obviously. But
there's better shit to play on DS, honestly.
Yeah. So I've never played these, and I don't think I'm ever going to.
No, I probably won't. Unless somebody listening to this is like just outraged and sends me a really good, convincing email, I'll probably never even look at these games again. Not to even just be like super negative about it. It's just there's too many games, and I haven't heard good things about this. And knowing what I like, stylus play isn't that.
Yeah, when Sean is sitting here, having not played the Minish Cap, having not played Skyward Sword, it'd be foolish to play these. So next up is Skyward Sword. This was the first real Zelda game for the Wii, and it came out right at the end of the Wii's life. Well, 2011, but it was like November of 2011. I feel like maybe it was. I don't fucking remember. It came out in 2011. I think it was at the end of it though. It was November. Ha! Yes.
So you gotta trust yourself.
Skyward Sword had to be played with Wii Motion Plus. Unlike Twilight Princess, which was just a waggle fest, you actually had one-to-one control over your sword. When you held the Wiimote up and moved it, he moved the sword. When you...
Oh, wait. We missed one, dude. Yes, we did.
We did not.
Link's fucking crossbow training.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
And we missed the Philips CDI games.
And okay.
We are terrible people. And the cartoon.
Yeah,
and
spoiler,
Tingle.
we're not talking about the Tingle game. It's just a pedo simulator. We're not talking about the CDI game. It's creepy. We're not talking about crossbow training. It's a mini game on a disc. Fuck all of you.
Fine. Anyway, fucking Skyward Sword, whatever.
Yeah, it literally had one-to-one control. If you rotated your wrist, he would rotate the sword. Like, this is the only game that really showed off what Wii Motion Plus can do. And while it's a little bit annoying to play with that, they actually worked it in, and like, you would have to do horizontal or vertical slashes on certain enemies, and you'd have to use your sword for a key, and like, they integrated it really well. And I think this is the only game I've ever played, except for Okami, where I can say motion controls made the game.
Yeah, I'm gonna say the controls isn't why I just kind of stopped. It was just I just wasn't getting into the game. It just wasn't. I don't know. Maybe the pacing.
It's paced
slowly, but the controls were fine. The controls were great.
Slowly, and it's the most hand-holding game. Your sidekick in this Fi, God, she's fucking annoying. They over-explain this game to such a ridiculous degree. It's so irritating. That's the biggest failing of this game: the pacing and the hand-holding. Fucking irritating.
Yeah, well, maybe that's what it was. Is being somebody who freely admits how much I love the original Zelda for telling me nothing. Maybe this one just was rubbing me the wrong way.
It's worth playing through, though. I mean, there's some really cool dungeons in it. I love the impressionist painting look to everything, which is subjective, of course, but I think it did end up in the game.
Right. And I did like some of that. I honestly, part of the problem too for me was when I was playing it. I was playing with a group of like three.
That's gonna be.
That's not the way to play a game like this, and I understand that, but I just never got back to it.
The game also has a fair amount of RPG elements in it, as far as like you actually get materials to make things, and you can upgrade your equipment to a certain degree, and there's a lot of side quests.
That's cool. Does it, like, when you say make things, does it have an actual crafting system?
It's through a shop where it's like, oh, if you want this, give me these rubies and give me these materials.
Right.
It's pretty
gotcha.
Because it's just a Zelda game, but
that's fine. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. If you're gonna do that, that's better than having a shitty
for sure. Skyward Sword is not a giant piece of shit by any means, but pacing and hand-holding issues. But the Wii Motion Plus stuff is cool, and also the final boss fight. Skyward Sword is the very first Zelda game in the timeline. This is the original Zelda and the original Link.
See, that's what makes me want to try through it.
Friends. Zelda is the reincarnation of their goddess. Link is the fated hero. And unlike all the other Zelda games, like, they're just childhood friends and they know each other and they get thrown into these crazy destinies.
They're probably like playing doctor somewhere in the Hyrulean field.
There's one. Oh God, I want to spoil something, but since you haven't played it, I'm not going to say anything. There's a really cool thing with Impa in this, but I'm not going to ruin it.
Well, how long would it take you to say it? Because I can, like, take my headphones off and just let it out.
It's not worth saying. Because you have to edit this anyway, it's fine. But when you do play it, I want to point out how fucking cool this thing with Impa is. But the other really cool thing with this from a story standpoint, the ending. The final enemy in this, you're fighting this guy named Girahim through the whole thing, who is trying to revive this demon that basically destroyed the world, and that's why everybody is taken to the sky. Like, everybody lives in the sky, because the world below is inhabited by monsters and all fucked up, and, like, they haven't lived there in ages. Because of, the Forsaken, I think it's called, but that gets revived, and that was, like, there was a sword in it or something, and when you kill it, that releases that, and the demon lord Demise comes out. I might be messing some of that up. It's essentially that, though. That was the big master plan, and Demise is the final boss fight, and Demise looks strikingly similar to Ganondorf. And you fight Demise, for anybody that's seen the opening cinematic to Street Fighter IV, you fight Demise in something that's very similar to that, mixed with the opening cinematic from Street Fighter Cross Tekken. It's the colors of Street Fighter IV with, like, the watery look of Street Fighter Cross Tekken, and this, like, black and white, other-dimensional abyss.
Oh my god, yeah, I'm looking at it. That's fucking Ganondorf,
He is
bro.
so cool, and the fight is so incredible. And when you beat him...
It's like a badass Akuma mixed with Ganondorf.
The coolest boss fight in any Zelda game. Unequivocally. When you beat him, he says, he puts a curse upon you, and he says, I will never stop coming back. I will haunt you throughout all of time. Ganondorf is the fulfillment of that curse. Ganondorf is his... I don't know if they've ever flat out said it's his reincarnation, but Ganondorf is his wrath living on, and that's so fucking cool.
He's definitely officially if you look at, just look at him.
I love that. That's just so goddamn cool. So I was like a giggling schoolgirl when I saw that. I absolutely loved the ending of that game.
So hold on, if you're willing to spoil, it kind of looks like a Sura, but if you're willing to spoil that part. So what's the secret you wouldn't spoil? Is that even cooler?
I'm willing to spoil that because you meet Demise, you fight him, he says that. The other thing is like, wow, I never noticed that. It's something that plays throughout the game, so it's more meaningful, and I don't want to spoil it ahead of time. Once you meet Demise, it's pretty quickly that you meet him, you fight him, he says that, it's done. It's not like there's this drawn-out thing.
Yep. Oh, yeah, it's right here. The fucking quote, my hate never perishes. It is born anew in a cycle with no end.
That's so cool.
Yeah, that's just badass. So, I know I need to play that. So many good games, and Zelda, unfortunately the Zelda series has, I think, like 3 or 4 that I know I need to play that I haven't now, so.
And we come to, well, I'm just going to make an advanced decision here. We're not going to talk about Hyrule Warriors. Sean hasn't played it. I've discussed it on the podcast. You'll hear me talk about it in our first episode, actually, which hopefully, if you're listening to this, you already listened to. And if not, well, you should go back and listen to that. But since that is kind of a spin-off game, let's just not talk about it. I already have, and Sean has nothing to say on it.
Definitely.
So, the last 2 we'll just talk about together. Both came out in 2013. We got a remake of the Wind Waker on the Wii U, and we got a Link Between Worlds. For the remake of the Wind Waker, Sean, you don't have a Wii U, so you haven't played this. I have a Wii U. I haven't played this. It's fucking gorgeous. Oh my god.
Yeah, I have seen the screenshots. It does look amazing.
They completely redid the lighting physics engine to be correct. So while you might look at the game and be like, oh, it's not as bright, it looks darker. No, things just aren't lit up that shouldn't be. It's actually based on where the sun is, where the light's coming through, and the buildings and geometry that's in the way of it. Cell-shaded games remaster really well. The game is gorgeous. And they added some usability things. They fixed a little glitch. They made it so that you can go double speed and you don't need to keep playing the song to change the direction of the wind. When you have the double speed sail on, all you have to do is just point the sail and the wind starts going that way. So there were some really big usability changes. There's small tweaks, but they make a big difference.
Well, hopefully they fix the game-breaking bug I hit.
I believe that was fixed too. So that's...
Or maybe it was just my stupidity for not making a backup save file, but... Yeah.
So that's the Wind Waker, and A Link Between Worlds is kind of a return to form. It's the first isometric Zelda game since 2004. So...
I've heard nothing but great things about this game. Have you played it at all?
There was a 9-year gap with no isometric 2D Zelda games. And then we got this. And I'm playing it right now. I started it today.
Yes, I forgot already. But, I mean, spoil whatever you can about it for me, because I just want to hear about this game from somebody who's playing it.
It's dug out of A Link to the Past's ass. It's largely the same map with things changed. It's not the same map, but it's largely the same map. In this one, though, you don't go to the Dark World. You go... Well, you know what? Actually, you do go to the Dark World, but it's actually called Low Rule, which, high, low. I see what they did there. And there's actually, like, a Dark Princess, a Dark Triforce. There's a full, dark, mirrored, alternate version of Hyrule called Low Rule, where there's a Low Rule Castle and Low Rule Princess and blah, 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 blah. But...
So, wait. Do you run into, like, the low rule Link?
I don't know if there is. I honestly
Shadow
don't know
Link?
if there is one.
Because there's Shadow Link in Zelda 2.
True. Yeah, I don't know if there actually is
So-
one, but it's dug out of a Link Between Worlds. No. Link to the Past. I'm getting confused here. It's dug out of the past. The map is super similar to the point where I'm even remembering things. I haven't played Link to the Past in years. But it is different enough. People that are more familiar with Link to the Past, maybe they played it more than I did or played it more recently,
So it's just like Link's Awakening.
How so?
I don't know. You just kept saying Link to Link.
You're just confusing me.
You kept forgetting that one. You just kept forgetting Link.
It's a direct
Awakening.
sequel to Link to the Past, though, because it takes place in that Hyrule. Like, that map. That actual Hyrule.
So what's the, I've seen the mechanic where you're, like, going into walls and shit.
Yeah, I haven't
all
unlocked
about?
that yet, but you can go into walls to fit through gaps, and it's a big puzzle mechanic for the game. Also, something that's totally different. You don't go to a dungeon and find the boomerang, and then you can do it. No, you buy, or rent for that matter, any weapon you want, any item. And then you can go take on any of the dungeons you want in any order.
That's kind of cool.
And when you get enough money, you can permanently buy the items. And you find other upgrades. Like, I've already found a few things I'm going to keep, but like the bow and arrow, the bombs, the boomerang.
You know what? That's probably, like, a hint towards how the next console Zelda's going to be like. More free form,
Perhaps. But other than that, it's got a brand new graphics engine. It's 3D looking. I don't know. There's no other Zelda game that looks like it. Because even though it's an isometric one, it's like 3D polygonal models in a very nice looking world. It's smooth as fuck. The game runs at 60 frames per second, which a lot of handheld games don't, and a lot of other Zelda games don't. It's just nice. It feels smooth and nice. I immediately noticed it when playing it, just how smooth and responsive it was, and that's wonderful. The 3D is also pretty cool. I have it turned off because the 3D on the 3DS sucks, but now that I have a new one coming, if I'm still playing it, I will use it on that because the face tracking will make it actually usable.
Right. Well, in theory, that's what they said. Have you seen it yet in action?
Nothing but positive about it.
Okay.
But yeah, this is, a lot of people say like, hey, maybe this is my favorite isometric Zelda game, but I just have too much nostalgia for Link to the Past. I think Minish Cap is probably still going to be mine, but from what I've played of this so far, it's fantastic.
That's good to hear. I mean, it's just, what is this? How many years later? What's the anniversary of Zelda? They're at 30?
Let's see.
Yeah, they're at 30.
It's 22. It's 22 years after Link to the Past, and it's from 86 to 2013 so 3 years shy of 30 years from the original.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, 27 years of really, really quality games.
Also, it's just riddled with fan service.
They didn't do and they haven't done Link dirty like they've done Mario.
Already, I played about 2 hours of the game. The Kakariko music is a remix of one of the ones from previous games. I immediately recognize it. Majora's Mask is hanging in your bedroom because reasons. And the Gravedigger from the what's his name? Dape. The Gravedigger from the 2 Nintendo 64 Zelda games is in this game. Again, because reasons. And I'm sure there's just tons more waiting to happen.
Can you hook shot race him? As it goes?
Oh, so fucking frustrating. That was annoying. But yeah, Link Between Worlds is awesome, and that's definitely a triumph for Zelda games. It's cool to see that. I'm curious to see what they're going to do with the Wii U one. The big thing for that has been exploration and bigger, and that can be cool, but if they run into the Twilight Princess pitfalls again, I'm not going to be happy.
Right.
If you're going to make a big world, make it easy to get around, make it quick to get around, and give me some really easy and convenient quick travel. Because I do not want another Twilight Princess where I'm spending 30 fucking minutes trying to get where I'm going to go do something. Not okay.
No, that's not okay at all. Alright, so we're done with the games pretty much, unless you had anything else you wanted to say.
Tingle is a pedo.
Fair enough. So what do you think about this new live-action series that Netflix
It has to be bad.
Does it have to be bad? I don't think it has to be bad.
If it's not bad, it has to just stomp all over the toes of what's established. Because here's a couple of issues we need to think about.
Of course. That has
for one,
to happen.
is it going to be highly CG-ridden? Because Zelda's full of monsters. What about Ganondorf? How the fuck are they going to make these things work with people?
Well, look, hold on. Let me just tell you. First of all, I have some faith in this, and let me just tell you why. First off, Netflix has done amazing with all their originals. All their original shows are great, very, very high production value. And second, Nintendo, I don't think they'd take a risk unless, like, they're not going to let it come out unless it's good. Like, they'll go all the way down the rabbit hole, and if they don't like it, they'll just scrap the whole thing. I truly believe that. So I don't see how this could be bad overall. And then really, they want to model it. I think they're trying. I think they said they want to try to model it towards like a young adult Game of Thrones. I think that could really fucking work in the Zelda universe, and I think if really hardcore fanboys can sit there and go like, okay, well, there's the Zelda. It's just like the Game of Thrones people. There's the book series, or in this case, the game shit, and then there's the show, and they don't have to be the same or exist the same. They're two different things. Then I think that it could be really interesting. I'm really excited to hear more details.
You know what's going to be a big problem, though? Link has never talked, ever. Is he going to be mute in this? Is he not going to talk?
Well, that's a call that Nintendo's probably already made. So,
like, how can they stay authentic and actually put out a show with real people where Link doesn't talk?
But authentic to what? But that's the thing. It's like, he never talked in the games. This is the show. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's such a big departure.
We're gonna have to separate it to even give it a fair shake.
We're gonna have to view it as an adaptation, so. Nothing more.
Right. But I mean, high hopes. Fingers crossed.
Actually, there's one more Zelda thing that we need to mention. There's manga for Zelda. Yeah.
Is there really? I mean, I know I've seen comic books and shit like that, but I shouldn't be surprised. But is it good? Do you have any?
Let's see. There was manga for Skyward Sword. I'm trying to remember where. I know I have it. I can't.
That would be a really interesting one.
I don't remember where it was released. I definitely have it in. I think it was released in Japan, and we got it over here in the Hyrule Historia art book, which, by the way, if you like Zelda, is such a no-brainer to buy. It's the best art book I own. It's an encyclopedia of all things Zelda. My biggest complaints against it focuses too much on Skyward Sword because it came out during that time. But it still has a lot of other stuff in it. But that shows the story of the original hero and the goddess. And the original hero dies in it. And, like, those are the people that ended up being Link and Zelda from Skyward Sword. Like, before Link and Zelda were a thing, that was the hero and the goddess, and that's where they came from. Like, so that's cool. Mm. But on top of that, Nintendo ran, I think this was Japanese only, a full Link to the Past manga. That's being re-released here now. You can pre-order it on Amazon for like $13, and that's being translated in volume.
Wow.
So that's pretty cool. And Viz has also released several manga adaptations of games. You can actually get a box set that has all of them included in it. I got it during Black Friday. It's really cool. So that...
Who did this? Who released it? Oh, okay.
So this has... there's 2 parts for Ocarina of Time, 1 and 2, like 2 Tankobon volumes. There's Majora's Mask, Oracle of Seasons, Oracle of Ages, 2 for 4 Swords, because I think for that they just combined Minish Cap. No, that has its own. The 4 Swords one must be the original 4 Swords and Adventure, like, combines it together. Then there's Minish Cap, A Link to the Past, and the Link to the Past in this I don't think is the same as the one that's being re-released. And there's a Phantom Hourglass. I don't know why there's no Wind Waker. I don't know why they didn't do Spirit Tracks. I don't know why Twilight Princess didn't have one, but this is what exists, and they're pretty cool. It's not completely faithful, but again, if you accept it as an adaptation, it's a pretty cool way to experience the stories of those games. And if you watch out for sales, I bought the box set, which is really nice, for like $40.
That's not bad at all.
We've talked games, collectibles, memories, analysis. That's it for a Zelda episode, I think. You know, we'll be back next week talking about the shit that we've watched, played, and read. And we'll be back the week after that gushing about some other thing that we love or vehemently slashing into something that we hate.
Oh, God. I didn't even think about that. We should do that. We should think of, like... let's just toss some ideas around. What
we could have, like, it could be the problems with modern FPS, and when in reality that's just a shill title to get people in to listen to us talk shit about Call of Duty for an hour.
Exactly. All right. Well, these are some ideas that we're gonna have to marinate.
You guys are hearing some inside baseball right now.
Yeah, you lucky people. Yeah. Well, I had a good time. I always enjoy talking about, anything, especially when we can nail it down to one topic and really kind of have a focused focused, a semi-focused discussion on an important topic.
I'm eating Dove chocolate right now, which is my favorite chocolate, so I'm happy.
Sounds delicious. So we're all going to eat chocolate and play Zelda until next time.
And with that, until next time, guys.
All right, take it easy.